Alright, let's just do a quick dummy showcase. Okay, I mean, yep, so we can hit like 5 trillion in like 1 second, so very little ramp time, if any. Really fast. We are gonna hit damage cap pretty much on the dummy, so as you can see, it's constant red numbers, right? So that's the 1.5 trillion yep, damage cap, I guess, off frame cap. Okay, so what is this build, right? Okay, so this is a Corrosive Throw Erika 1 build. Okay, so Corrosive Throw, basically just throw out this dagger looking skill. Okay, it's a fist skill that gets converted to physical, that gets converted to erosion damage. Okay, so we are an erosion based hit build. Okay, but you can scale fist damage to scale the erosion damage as well. Okay, just remember this. Okay, we also fire projectiles. Okay, so that's why we can scale projectiles as well. Okay, so yeah, right, these are the projectiles. So we are projectile erosion slash physical hit base crit build. Okay, long sentence, but I mean, you get the gist of it. Okay, let's just quickly go through the gear here. So the good thing is that as of now, okay, the gear to get started is honestly pretty cheap, right? For this amount of damage, like the cost is not really that high. Okay, the gear that I have now is worth a fair amount of money, right? But I did not use all of these at the start. Okay, so let's just go through the gear first. So we have blind vision. Okay, so blind vision makes it so that projectile speed applies to projectile damage, which becomes a factor that we can scale later on. And then supported by wind projectiles, okay, which just gives us what I call that, projectile speed. Okay, so our chest, okay, because we are hit-based erosion build, okay, so we can use the blight chest, okay, that gives us additional damage taken per stack of deterioration up to 8 times. So this is a 200% additional damage taken. Again, if I was starting out, or when I was starting out, just get a T0 version here, right? It's like 45 FE. Okay, so really cheap, honestly. Okay, Half the Storm basically gives us more projectile stuff, right? More projectile damage to distant enemies. So we want to be a little bit further away from the target. Uh, yep, and then some Storm effect. So all of these, you don't need to have the corrupted versions, right? Like you can just buy a normal non-corrupted version. Oh, that's weird. Right, it's 155 FE. Right, it is some money, but it's not like an exceptional amount of money. Right. Okay, so these gloves are quite important. Okay, so attack horizontal projectiles will return after reaching their max range and will hit enemies in their path again. Basically, you have double damage, right? If you play PoE, right, this is basically returning projectiles, right? So if we remove this, right, we only shoot projectiles out, right? So you're essentially losing half your damage, right? Because you're not returning the damage. The projectiles are not returning. So this is quite an insane pair of gloves, because usually when you have returning projectiles, you need to have a downside, right? Like the returning projectiles deal less damage or something, right? But they don't really have a, what I call it, penalty. In fact, they give you bonuses for the returning projectiles as well. So this is quite an insane pair of gloves, and guess what? It's so cheap, right? Even this one is only 170 FE. If you don't have this, go so be it, right? Why not? Doesn't even matter, right? 80 FE. Okay, so these four pieces I would say are quite essential, or not even quite essential, are essential, and they're so cheap, right? Which is great because it's very easy to get this build started in the first place. Okay, belt wise, obviously, okay, we do need Gale somewhere, right? Same thing as the helmet, right? We want to scale projectile speed potentially as a source of damage. So Gale needs to be somewhere, either on your pedigree or or blind vision, right? Not on blind vision, sorry. These two allow us to scale projectile speed and turn it into projectile damage. Okay, so get Gale somewhere, right? Either on your belt or on your pedigree of the gods. Okay, if you don't have Eternity, your single target damage, or like your normal bossing damage, I guess, will be even higher, right? Because Eternity is only for mapping, right? It does nothing for bossing. Okay, Boots wise, we just have some pen, erosion, skill level, projectile damage. I have generic damage and deflection. Okay, so this is defensive. Deflection gives you reduced damage taken up to 3 stacks, and then when you get hit, you consume all deflection stacks. So that's another 30% less damage taken on hit. Okay, 6 meters is really small, right? Because I mean, just whirling blades will generate like your deflection stack already. Okay, so that's nice. Okay, you need to have 1 curse, so timid curse on hit on your ring. This shouldn't be too expensive now. Gets a downside that is not too bad, if you can. Yep, so on this we want fist damage to attacks and spell, deterioration damage, main hand damage, right? So like I said, this is a hit-based crit build, so just get mods that scale that. Right, later on I will bring this up, so I'll have this here, okay, for you to look at, right, on how we can scale the damage potentially. Okay, then for the other ring, so similar stuff, right? I have res, crit damage, deterioration chance, and deterioration damage. Okay, so your ring and belt slot are where you can find these mods, right? Deterioration, damage, and chance. So you do want to have these mods on your belt and ring. Yeah, because it's a bit hard to find these in other places. So try to get those. So as always, I was not using full T0 mods, right, to hit 5 trillion. Okay, it is not necessary. Okay, I just decided to throw more money at this because I enjoyed playing the build. Okay, it is not necessary to have T0 mods to do like trillions of damage. Okay, okay, weapon. So arguably like one of the most important slots, I would say. Okay, so what we want is we want gear physical damage, flat fist damage, gear attack speed, and attack crit strike rating, right? So you just want a fat weapon. That is the main thing, right? We just want a very high damage main hand weapon. Okay, then we have some double damage and multi strikes deal increasing damage. Yep, and make sure that, of course, okay, try to roll it with true fossils to get a high roll on your gear, because again, right, we want high fists for high damage. Very, very straightforward. Okay, and also, I mean, I got the max roll multi-strike chance, so I decided to just keep this, but any generic, like damaging dream craft would work as well. Okay, then we have a shield, so we have active skill levels, dex, attack speed, cast speed, pen. Again, elemental slash erosion pen or armor pen, they're all about the same. Doesn't really matter too much. Okay, you don't need to get spell and attack block chance. I am not even like spell or attack block cap, right? I just felt like my defenses were fine without it. So honestly, I have like pretty low block chance. I might not even need this at all. Okay. So yeah, if I were to redo the shield, I'll probably get additional damage on the line. But then again, you don't need the damage, so yeah, okay. Just do whatever you want. Alright, so that is the gear. Okay, let's take a look at our skill tree. So I will have the build code in the description, so this shouldn't, you don't really need to look at this, but in case you can't input the build code, here's my skill tree. So I don't think I really need to explain too much here. It's pretty much just generic damage stuff. Okay, and then for my slates, so slates, I'm not even done technically because I got lazy finishing up. um, I would say you want 1 source of additional stacks of deterioration. Okay, so you see how they have stacks here? Okay, because of our deterioration duration, right, we do have like a max, kind of like a cap, I guess, on like how many stacks we can apply. So in general, if you are hitting like 10-ish, right, that's good enough, right, because we want to have maximum, I mean, we minimally need 8 for our chest to have full effect, right? So yes, if you can find 1 source of that somewhere, this does nothing for us. We don't inflict wilt, and then I just have paralyze, and yep. Okay, so apart from that, so we need 1 source of sealed mana compensation somewhere. Okay, so in order for us to run all our auras, we are going to need sealed mana comp somewhere. And then everything else is just generic damage, right? So again, attack speed for every life lost. This wording is weird, but this is for every life that you reserve, if I'm not wrong, right? So if I reserve 90% of my life, that should give me, let's see, 36% attack speed, right? Which is pretty good value. So yes, just get attack speed, generic damage everywhere, right? Damage to cursed enemies, additional damage applied to life, projectile speed, attack speed when you crit recently, right? Like based off, like where's my list, right? Anything that applies to these, right, you can get on slates, right? It's just generic attack damage stuff, projectile damage stuff. Okay, so okay, this slate not required, right? Again, nothing is really required. As long as you can fulfill any of these conditions here, right, you will get damage. Okay, slates is like a big point. Okay, you don't need like double mod, like, or for these specific mods, right? If you get quick advancement with like any other decent mod, right? Any generic attack damage mod, could be rushed, impending, or even something defensive, right? It's completely fine, right? You don't need to have this um, for the build. Okay, no mandatory nodes that you need. Okay, then this is a defensive one, so I have minus elemental damage taken, and then we are copying it twice for minus 60% elemental damage taken, so feels good enough at this point, so I'm not really going to copy it another time anyways. Yep. Okay, maybe we talk about skills. So, okay, this is probably the first thing that I would get if you were to play this build. So, unfortunately, Steel Attack is kind of expensive. So, it's about 2k FE now for Steel Attack. So, apologize, but okay, it is kind of expensive, but this thing will save your hands, right? Like, if you had to go around holding this, I mean, it's not the worst thing, right? Like, you could just hold down right click and whirling blades around, right? Hold down right click, but it doesn't feel like the greatest, right? Like your hands will hurt after a while. So still attack is a lot of QOL, so I would suggest getting that as fast as you can. Okay, 21 corrosive throw is like 10 FE, very cheap. The supports are really cheap as well, so if I'm not wrong, this is like 10 FE as well. So yep, get it while it's cheap. Hopefully the prices won't change much, which I don't think it will change much. Okay, I'm just gonna go through the skills. So defensive buffer is our defensive aspect of the build. So you could change this for anything. Defensive buffer, delayed pain, force start, anything that you want. If you are near max block, go get Ages of Fire, right? Just get anything that you feel like you're missing here. Okay? If you feel like your regen is low, get force start. If you feel like you're dying to hits, then get defensive buffer. Okay, so based off the content you're doing, you would change this accordingly. Okay, Spiral Strike is our mobility skill. So, yep, we just whirling blades around. Aim is just damage. Okay, the good thing is that for this build, since we are whirling blades around, movement speed is not a factor, right? You can get slowed by 100% and it doesn't matter at all. Because deep space maps have like some insane reduction in movement speed sometimes, right? So this build completely negates that, right? For other builds which you have to run around, man, it is a pain in the ass, okay? So we are lucky in that regard. Uh, yep. Okay, Fixate. So this just gives you additional damage and mark effect, which makes them take more crit damage. So like I said, we are crit based build, so that's nice. Okay, precise projectiles, weapon amp, energy fortress, and cruelty. Hold on, something is right. Okay. Okay, so again, you do not need these. These are just things where, you know, if you have money lying around, you want to throw money at the character, you will get stuff like this, right? You don't need this, but this gives 30 aura effect, so I decided to get one on every single one of my auras, right? Just another aspect of investment. Okay, for candles, we do want this, right? Gain one stack of blessing every time we are standing still. Every second we are standing still because we are always standing still, right? We don't walk around, we only whirling blades around. So, yep, Rebirth gives us some additional restoration over time. I guess it converts your leech into like leech over time, I guess, right? And reduces the duration of leech in between each leech. So, That's pretty nice, right? It gives us quite a decent amount of regen, I guess, in a way. Okay, and then here we have Fist to main hand weapon, and then Sealed Mana comp. So, okay, this is the part where you kind of have to just play around. 8% should be enough, right? I made this candle myself, so I got the T0. But 8% Sealed Mana with the slate that gives 10% Sealed Mana should be enough to run 4 auras, right? But you have to play around with this. If you really have to, then I guess you can get like some small aura nodes, right? Or Sealed Mana comp on like your pack tree. Okay, so that's it for the skills. Okay, we cover skills. Okay, hero memories. So you want dex and projectile speed. So like I mentioned just now, projectile speed, projectile speed, projectile speed. Okay, this is like the main area where you can potentially get projectile speed. So try to get it on your memories here. So I have some block chance because I hit a T0, so felt bad to roll over it. That's why I have some block. So if you do want to go a very defensive route, then you will roll like block chance on all of these, right? And you'll probably be max block. That's how people usually do it. But since I want damage, so I have erosion crit strike damage because corrosive throw is erosion, so it counts. Attack crit strike damage counts obviously, and then attack crit strike damage. Okay, so yes, if you don't want block, go and get crit chance, crit rate. I mean crit chance and crit damage on like all of these. A lot of damage, very nice. Okay, so that's the memories, that's the skill tree. Okay, is there anything else that I'm really missing here? Okay, so I'll just bring up this again. So to reiterate, we want high fist weapon, we scale attack speed to attack faster, multi-strike, and multi-strike damage. Multi-strike damage, right? Deterioration damage and chance. Okay, so if you want to find your deterioration chance, okay, if I'm not wrong, it should appear here. Uh, where is it? Okay, there we go. Yep. So on the dummy, you can check what your deterioration chance is. If you have 100%, you are fine. If not, try to get this up so that you have max deterioration stacks at all time, right? Okay, so deterioration chance, skill levels, crit damage, projectile speed, and double damage, right? So I think that's about it. I'll do a showcase of a deep space map. And yeah, I think that should be every. Oh, I forgot about my packs. Okay, so here, okay, there is again nothing really mandatory. Feel free to take whatever you want. Okay, I would say get at least one Kismet Hunter because this gives you, I mean, it's pretty good value, right? Projectile damage and projectile crit strike rating, right? Okay, more like crit strike rating and just damage, generic. Okay, then okay, if you are doing deep space, right, you would probably have one of these, right? These again, very expensive, but I didn't want to reroll being frozen every single time, right? It's a pain in the ass. So I do have this, not required technically, okay? But yeah, you can't really deal with frostbite and freeze if you don't have this, cause we can't really swap my amulet slot out. Okay, so fish in the cage, I guess. Then I have some minus curse effect. So before this, before I swap to this, I was using another one of these to get minus 100% curse effect, but it doesn't make you immune to curses. And if they apply an additional effect, then yep, you are still cursed, which kind of sucks. Okay, then before getting immunity, I mean, okay, minus trauma damage taken here. I do not need this numbed effect anymore, so I should just remove this. Yep, so you can get all of these ailment removals, I guess. Paralysis, mitigation. So I have generic erosion res now because this thing gives me minus erosion res. But before this, yep, I was taking like minus ignite, minus numb effect, things like that. Okay, so this is where you would generally try and get some defenses for the very, very annoying mods in deep space. Right, okay, then with that, that should be the end of everything. Okay, map showcase. Okay, so let's just do a map here. So here we have maim, right? So I don't have immunity to maim. All right, we only have the 3 nodes on the kismets, right? That reduces the trauma damage that we take. But it should still be fine. We are using 3 golden compasses, so that's like 210 additional health. Another here, so about 240 additional health. They also take 50% less damage, right? So, and we're gonna be doing God of Machines. So as you know, God of Machines has a ramping health, so you can really see how the damage is, I guess. In general, it should feel pretty safe, right? Most of the time. The only things that really kill you will be all the one-shots, like for example, these Void Rifts, they kind of one-shot you if you stand in them, so I don't think anyone really can survive that anyways, so not too much of a concern if we die to that accidentally. So of course, if you take away all those less damage multipliers, if you take away, all the additional max life, you can see how, pretty much everything will die in one hit. Right? So everything here is still pretty much dying in a pretty quick time. Leak mechanic is great. Usually you can stand still, but because of these stupid void rifts, we can't exactly just AFK and stand still here. But yeah, I tried to roll away this void rift mod like 4 times, but every single time I just get this mod back again. So no choice, the showcase will have to involve this, and I have to move a lot, I guess. See if I can stand still without the thing spawning on top of me. But yeah, so machines, you do have that ramping health and it's still completely fine. So I would say this is already like one of the harder things to do in deep space, at least, apart from like might or something. Useless as well. Okay, so you see that void rift. Ooh, that was close. But yeah, that's pretty much what the map clear looks like. Okay, pretty fast build. So with that, if you need more showcase or if you have questions, you can catch me when I'm streaming. Because I am a working man, I don't exactly have a fixed schedule, but I mean, it will generally be at night Singapore timing if I do stream. So, alright, with that, thanks for watching my photo, and bye bye.